One Zambia, One Nation. Thank you so much for joining us on the news desk. My name is Amos Zulu. The headlines. President Hakainde Hichilema reiterates government's resolve to revamp the economy. Kazungula gets first ever service station. Nine-year-old boy seeks specialist treatment. And in our sports news, the Football Association of Zambia fines the Green Buffaloes Football Club and Power Dynamos for crowd trouble. And now the news in detail. President Hakainde Hichilema has called for collective efforts from various stakeholders in order to rebuild the country and turn it into a multi-model of success. President Hichilema says in doing so, Zambia will continue to collaborate with the outside world in its expedition to build a robust economic development agenda. The president said this in Washington, D.C., ahead of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, which will run from December 13th to 15th, 2022, to be attended by over 40 African heads of state. Brian Sewisha now reports.
As the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit begins deliberations today, President Hakainde Hichilema wants to ensure that the mandate given to him by the people of Zambia is well represented. President Hichilema, who did not waste time upon arriving, began his 6-day working visit to the USA by first sharing Zambia's successes his administration has scored since he was voted into office, responding to questions during an engagement with U.S.-based interest groups at the Council on Foreign Relations. The head of state said he was determined to restore and revive the once ailing economy.
It was going through very, very difficult macro environment. So our first step, if you like, was to stabilize the country.
Mr. Hichilema also pointed out that right leadership was key in ensuring the country prospers and is laid out of poverty. The president shared that steps taken by government of reducing inflation, restoring the exchange rate, and fighting corruption were yielding results.
Inflation was running at 24%. Exchange rate market was very volatile. The debt, which you talked about, was unsustainable, leading to the default situation before the elections. So that was our major thrust. And in 1 year, first year, we took a decision that the first year would be to just get control of the country. So we were able to run inflation, pull it down in 1 year to 9.7% from 24%. We were able to bring stability in the foreign exchange market. Our kwacha is reasonably stable now against competitive currencies. We're pulling down interest rates from regions of 30% plus. 30% plus. Down, we're now hovering around 15, thereabout, in 1 year. Then we had to rein in the debt position. First, domestic debt, just to clamp down on public expenditure extravagance.
President Hichilema stated that Zambia will always work with countries who have an interest in its development and support will transform lives of locals and promote accountability and good governance.
This is the difficulties that we are in, but it's also our party's way, our government, our party in government is a way of doing things, to be able to look at the options available. Even if we weren't in this debt crisis, we would have gone for this model together with others that are less stressful, but more focused on the revenue. So then back to the issue, now we're saying to China, we're saying to the US, we're saying to Europe, we're saying to Japan, we're saying to anyone else on our continent, other African countries, we can work together in many, many other areas. That will help us achieve our agenda as a government. Economic reconstruction, economic growth, more based on investments, private sector participation. We put a platform which we're working on to make sure that the private sector and us in government are working together and have a shared understanding, common understanding, by and large, of what we need to do to get out of this situation. And you'll be pleased to know that although Africa overall, the outlook is that growth will be difficult this year, but we are expecting to grow as a country after first year, 1 year in office, to close to 3% GDP growth, from minus 2.8. Effectively, if you add the numbers, would have done more than 3% growth. In an environment where inflation in other countries is in a runaway position, where basically interest rates are much, much higher, where public expenditure is a problem, we are dealing with those issues.
Later on, President Hichilema also held a closed-door meeting at the United States Institute of Peace Studies, attended by 5 other African heads of state with US-based senators on matters of mutual interest. In attendance of the closed-door meeting included presidents of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Mozambique, Somalia, and Sudan. Branswisher reporting for Zanis in Washington, D.C., USA.
Mushindamo Town Council Chairperson Peter Ilunga has called on the government to consider working on the Luamfula Road in order to open up the area for development. Mr. Ilunga says the project cannot be undertaken using the equalization funds. Here's a report.
They have been stuck here for more than 2 hours on their way to monitor works on the rehabilitation of a 1x3 classroom block in Luamfula area. This is a team of officers going around in Solwezi East constituency monitoring CDF projects for the year ending 2022.
The vehicle that we are trying to remove is this is the vehicle, one of the vehicle eventually that has gotten stuck. So these are some of the challenges which the contractors are actually facing in the implementation of these projects. So Luamfula is one of the hard-to-reach areas that we have in the district.
As much as we appreciate the efforts of the new government, the increase in CDF, we are appealing to the central government that this kind of roads can never be attainable by the CDF. This we appeal to the central government to look into funding of this road.
Despite the rough terrain on the road, the contractor has managed to deliver all materials on the site.
The materials ya skatu mushta ya ringa pois kesha namfura yo to ajinga nayo so bachani to ajinga nayo kwa watama mamoto kajinga na kujomba.
I thank the contractor for the effort he has done to bring the materials far from Chingola to here with the bad road.
I'm grateful with the contractor and how the works have gone so far, and we hope and trust that by the time it is January, when schools open, we should be able indeed to say our learners have a conducive environment to learn from.
Sandy Mwenge for Zanis in Mushindamo District, Northwestern Province.
The Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, says it will deliver 400 metric tons of relief maize to hunger-stricken areas in Mpika district of Mchinga province. Mpika District Commissioner David Siame says that government has since released over 2,000 kwacha for the distribution of relief maize to Nabwalia and Mukungule chiefdoms. Pamela Inambao has the details.
The road to Nabwalia, which is surrounded by the Mchinga escarpment, is not an easy one. During the rainy season, it becomes impassable, making it difficult for government to deliver relief food.
Now, the first ever service station has officially opened to the public in Kazungula District, Southern Province. This follows a boost in operation via the Kazungula Bridge, which has continued to attract a lot of investment from both local and international players. Lemi Likando reports that Katombora Member of Parliament Clement Andeleki officiated at the launch.
Kazungula is among the districts in Southern Province that assumed the status of a district not too long ago. However, the district has been lacking some key infrastructure development despite boasting of the multi-million-dollar bridge that is shared between Zambia and Botswana. Kazungula can now pride itself as having the first ever service station in the area. This means motorists will no longer drive to neighboring Kasane town in Botswana to buy the commodity. Refuel Petroleum, a Zambian-owned company, has now opened its doors to motorists in Kazungula district.
People are scared to go into rural areas or to unknown places like Kazungula. We came to invest here. We came here in 2019. This whole place you see here was a bush. There are job opportunities now to the local authority, to the local community. As I'm speaking right now, we have employed 12 people from within this area.
Present at the official opening ceremony was District Commissioner Elias Yamibila, Council Chairperson Mbozi Tatila, and Area Member of Parliament Clement Andeleki.
It is a great milestone for the people of Kazungula, who have been traveling for about 134 kilometers to and from Livingstone just for refueling. In this regard, we take this opportunity to applaud management of this filling station for choosing to build and open this filling station here in Kazungula. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, our country is in a hurry to implement the developmental policies and programs aimed at stimulating economic growth. Our Republican President, His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, made major pronouncements whose primary objective was to accelerate the development of our country through reforming both our public and private sectors.
I know that you would have taken this filling station to another place, but you chose Kazungula. For this, on behalf of my people, I want to extend gratitude to say thank you to Refuel. This government has created a very good atmosphere for the emancipation of business for the private sector. Please take advantage of the opportunities that this government is offering through the Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission, where there are money sitting there. Borrow money and invest back in your region or in areas where you can do business like Refuel.
Lemeli Kando, reporting for Zanis in Kazungula district of Southern Province.
In our health news, Minister of Health, Sylvia Masebo, has officially opened the 15th Annual National HIV, TB, COVID-19 and Viral Hepatitis Technical Conference with a call for health experts and scientists to create a resilient and integrated health system. Ms. Masebo says creating a resilient and integrated health system will help curb challenges associated with the 4 epidemics. Jensi Malumba reports.
These are health experts and scientists coming from different parts of the country. They are here to attend the 15th Annual National HIV, TB, COVID-19, Viral Hepatitis Technical Conference. The conference is meant for these health experts and scientists to review progress and identify steps for the 4 epidemics that have continued to affect the country.
Have the primary focus for this conference looking at the 4 diseases, trying to strategize on how we can leverage on the other programs like the HIV program to fight the viral hepatitis. How do we make sure that the policymakers, the researchers, and also the programmers are together in this platform for them to be able to advance the basic clinical and also operational research.
Health Minister Sylvia Masebo officially opened the 3 days conference with a call for health experts and scientists to create a resilient and integrated health system if they are to fight the 4 pandemics.
The theme encourages all of us involved in the HIV, TB, COVID-19, and hepatitis B virus epidemic response to build resilient systems that are integrated. Integrating healthcare systems must be a legacy that we should learn from the COVID-19 pandemic response.
Various stakeholders also attended the conference.
We're proud to support the Zambian government in these efforts to expand access to COVID-19 vaccines and to increase the number of Zambians who are vaccinated against COVID. Improved public health infrastructure, capacity building, and overall investment in the HIV pandemic has clearly and demonstrably benefited Zambia as it responded to COVID-19.
UNAIDS is working closely with the National AIDS Council for the development of the Zambia HIV/AIDS strategic framework, which will steer ending of inequalities to end AIDS by 2030.
The minister then launched 4 health strategic documents and also presented awards to some provinces that performed well in different categories of the sector. The theme for this conference is Every Person Counts, closing the gaps for HIV, TB, COVID-19 and hepatitis B through responsive, resilient and integrated health systems. Jane Simalumba Zanis in Lusaka.
Northern Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Lewis Mwape has called on officers in the province to identify climate change adaptation options. Mr. Mwape explains that this will help the province come up with workable measures that will address the adverse impacts of climate change in the area. Here's a report.
The fight against climate change has continued to be a key priority for government and its stakeholders. This is because of the impact that it brings, such as floods, droughts and strong winds, which affect all members of the community. And in order to ensure that people across the country join in the fight against climate change, the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment has interpreted materials on climate change in 7 major local languages.
We need to simplify this climate change message and translate it into languages that the general public understands better, particularly in the communities. And with that, on this mission, apart from consulting on the plan that we are developing, we are also disseminating documents that we have prepared. We call these the key messages on climate change.
For the authorities in the province, coming up with climate adaptation options that are tailor-made for each district is a step in the right direction.
Already you see the coming of rain is very late and it ends early. So also we need adaptation strategies in the agro sector, aquaculture sector. So all these sectors will require us to ensure that we respond to climate change through the strategies that are going to be developed here.
As Chiluvi, we are really happy that we're part of this workshop. And by the end of the workshop, we are hoping that these issues can be resolved. At the moment, we are working, we've already identified adaptive options, and we are trying to prioritize which ones will work best.
Chibibi Nyongani reporting for Zanis in Kasama District, Northern Province.
In other news, a team from the World Bank regional office is in the country to check on their various funded projects. The team visited Yatu Foods, one of the local manufacturing companies, Zambia Agribusiness and Trade Project.
In its 8th National Development Plan, government has placed the development of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, as key towards enhancing economic transformation and job creation. As Africa prepares to begin the full implementation of trading on the open market under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, stakeholders are calling for value addition on local products produced by SMEs. A team of officials from the regional office of the World Bank is in the country to familiarize itself with different projects under its fund, one of them being Yatu Foods, a local manufacturing company which is into agricultural value addition.
We have had the pleasure of serving the Zambian people, or the people of Zambia, with our product for 20 years and counting. We also very recently diversified our product offerings and are committed to continuously improving our offering to improve and provide our valued customers with premium quality products that are affordable and available to all.
Over 200 SMEs have so far benefited from the World Bank support through the Zambia Agribusiness and Trade Project in improving processing and market linkages.
SME Supply Development Program targets the SMEs that are also growth-oriented, and they are also looking at increasing their productivity and also accessing the lucrative markets locally and even outside the country.
Government is promoting a private sector-led economic transformation while it creates an enabling environment that supports its growth. Michero Lubinda for Zanis in Lusaka.
We now take you to Muchinga Province, where over 1,000 girls who have been added on Keeping Girls in School KGS program in Chinsali District have so far collected their offer letters Chinsali District Education Board Secretary Pardon Tesho says a total of 1,386 offer letters are expected to be distributed to the girls on the KGS program.
The Keeping Girls in School program implemented by government through the Ministry of Education and the Department of Social Affairs continued to improve the living standards of girls in many districts in the country. The program, which has since been rolled out to Chinsali and Mpika districts, has seen a good number of girls receive offer letters to be included on the program starting next year.
So far, we have captured 1,220 girls in school. We want those girls who are in school to remain there, and even those who are out of school to come back if they are interested in coming back.
Collins Chavuta is Muchinga Province Senior Social Welfare Officer and now confirms the total caseload for both Mpika and Chinsali districts.
Chinsali, the caseload stands at 1,286, and for Mpika it is 811 girls, bringing the total of KGS beneficiaries to 2,197. This program is also running in Isoka, Mafinga, and Ishwangadu districts. Now the total caseload for the province is 4,646.
A check by Zanis in some schools found parents and their children collecting offer letters for Keeping Girls in School scholarship.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the government for this help. Most parents could not afford to send their children to school.
I'm urging my fellow girls to pay attention at school and get educated because this opportunity comes only once.
The additional of Chinsali and Mpika districts on Keeping Girls in School program, a component of girls' education and women empowerment livelihood, will see most girls back in school. Pamela Inamba reporting for Zanis in Chinsali, Muchinga Province.
2 classrooms at Kapanda Primary School in Kasama District have had their roofs blown off after a heavy downpour. District Commissioner Elizabeth Goma, who visited the school in the company of the District Disaster Management Committee, has called for close monitoring of government projects, especially in the education sector, to avoid wastage of public resources. Here's a report.
With the rainy season taking shape in Northern Province, Kasama District has once again recorded a disaster at Kapanda Primary School, where 2 classrooms from a 1x3 classroom block had their roof blown off following a heavy downpour. Kasama District Commissioner Elizabeth Goma, who led a team from the District Disaster Management Committee in inspecting the affected structures, is concerned with the quality of work on some school infrastructure.
The quality of the items used to roof the school, it's of low caliber. You cannot have such kind of roofing sheets. And everything, even the school itself, when you look at it, it was not properly done. So this is why we are emphasizing that whenever the schools are being built, the building officers from Ministry of Education should be monitoring, should be following. Also a warning to those that are buying things from the CDF. We shouldn't compromise quality. Let us buy something that will stand for a longer period of time.
School Deputy Head Teacher Harrison Shapowe and District Education Standards Officer Juanita Mlenga were on hand to give more details.
This has brought the school down since this 1x3 is being used for lessons. So at the moment, we're only lining with a 1x2 against 10 classrooms.
And our hope is that within the shortest time before schools open, the structure will have been rehabilitated.
District Buildings Officer at the District Education Board Secretary's office, Frank Zimba, was also on the scene.
I think as a technical team, we comply to monitoring at each and every stage so that we actually enhance quality to these government buildings.
Mtazanga Mumba for Zanis in Kasama.
And now in sports. The Motor Racing World Mother Body International Federation of Automobile, FIA, in collaboration with the Zambia Motorsports Association, has embarked on a Girls on Track project whose aim is to initiate girls between 8 and 18 years into motor racing. The project is expected to culminate into a go-kart racing championship next year. Here's a report.
Motor racing is traditionally considered a male sport globally, with gender issues attracting interest in all spheres of human endeavor. The world governing body of motor racing events, the Fédération Internationale de Automobile, FIA, working with the Zambia Motorsport Association, has initiated a Girls on Track project meant to cultivate interest in motorsport among girls aged between 8 and 18.
And this is basically a program called Girls on Track. And what we are aiming to do is to improve the gender representativity in the sport, in all aspects of the sport. So whether it is media, interviewers, people behind cameras, whether it's print journalists, whether it's photographers, whether it's team personnel, mechanics, engineers, right through to the drivers. So it's not just about trying to encourage girls to drive, it's to encourage them to benefit from all of the aspects of the sport and participate in all of the aspects of the sport.
Lonica Martins is one of the pioneers of female motor racing in South Africa and is in the country to mentor young girls.
I think this program is great for people that's never been into racing and wants to learn about racing. I mean, over here we got a karting circuit layout for them, teaching them how the karts work, teaching them how to turn, using the slalom. There's a lot of stuff that actually gets teachers by this lesson. So yeah, I think get involved with FI, and there's not a thing that women can't do what men do. So if you feel like you can race, you want to race, then go out and do it.
Once the orientation of the girls has been completed, a national racing championship is expected to commence next year.
6 to 7 countries that are implementing this project. The whole idea to try and roll it over the whole continent, so that then we'll end up with having this regional championship like us in Zambia. As we start next year, because definitely next year we'll run a full-fledged championship for the girls according to the age groups, and that will help us within the region like Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, to come up with a regional championship.
Henry Himonde reporting in Lusaka.
Still in sports, the Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, has fined Green Buffaloes and Power Dynamos football clubs for failing to manage their supporters during a November League match played at Arthur Davis Stadium in Kitwe. FAZ has fined GBFC 150,000 kwacha for clobbering Power Dynamo supporters, while the Kitwe Giants were slapped with a 50,000 kwacha fine for failing to control their fans who painted missiles on the pitch, which caused the match to stop briefly. FAZ disciplinary committee said both Green Buffaloes and Power Dynamos breached Article 67 2 of the disciplinary code after the Army side beat up home fans after some were identified to have thrown missiles on the pitch during the match between the two teams at Arthur Davis Stadium on November 5 this year. According to a disciplinary verdict issued by FAZ communications manager Sydney Mungala, both GBFC and Power Dynamos have since been given 7 days in which to pay the fine, and warned the Army-sponsored side to desist from allowing uniformed personnel from engaging in any football-related activity on match days. FAZ General Secretary Adrian Kashala has urged clubs to always adhere to FAZ statutes in their management of matches, even in the face of provocation. As we end the news, here is a recap of the headlines. President Hakainde Hichilema reiterates government's resolve to revamp the economy. Kazungula gets first ever service station. And a 9-year-old boy seeks specialist treatment. In our sports news, the Football Association of Zambia fines Green Buffaloes Football Club and Power Dynamos for crowd trouble. That is the end of the news. You can access these and many other stories on our website, zanis.com.zm, On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Amos Zulu. Bye for now.